many did not understand that the Quran would substantiate itself. It would speak for itself, just like on the day of resurrection. And of course, it is the greatest miracle of mankind. If you recall, TMOA was denounced, at least miraculously from that standpoint of view, and they tried to claim that the greatest miracle was in New York somewhere, or North Carolina, and this was the greatest city, so what have you. But the point of the matter is that we made it abundantly clear that the hostilities against the Quran, the institution for which it stands, the aggression would be unacceptable and intolerable. Definitely, there were some who did not initially take heed to the warning, because the Quran is a warning, as it is a source of guidance and a source of mercy. It's also a source of warning in the way that Jalla Jalaluhu himself decides to warn the people. And unfortunately, there are many people who did not take heed even when it was being revealed. But for us, we got to the point where Jalla Jalaluhu himself made it abundantly clear to hold on to the truth, the entire truth, and nothing but the truth. This will be suffice, even if it counts against me or any of the other council members or any of the other personnel. Definitely, it would be the right thing for us to, concede to this being the truth and submit and humble ourselves. For that, we definitely, want to get the point across to any who have, questions about how they should work with the Quran, how they should work with Jalla Jalaluhu. If they think that, they can approach it in the right way, that would be according to what he says, how to approach it. If they do so according to sincerity, absolute certainty, piety, humility, and also rid of malice and kick the Iblisi elements out of the heart and the lower selves, such as ego, such as that greed which undermines religious commitment, and anger, another one, which many struggle to deal with. Lies, this is a very, very big one. Deceit and hypocrisy, these are all, Iblisi elements in which take shape and form through the means of Iblis and the progeny of Iblis. And we know the Iblisi allies, unfortunately. We have to understand that the Quranic Revolutionary Republican Guards are not someone that I am responsible for. Yours truly is barely a tool. Simply, the question, and keep over and over the question, how did you inherit prophethood? And many have a struggle understanding that. And as we saw that the president asked numerous times, how does he have it? And he's still asking until today. If you do not know, it's due to, again, the blindness of jealousy. But the terms were very clear. They're very, straightforward. There are three, as in the Sunnah of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Just as when the 3 days were initiated of the deadline, which began on, if I can recall correctly, it would have been Saturday at 3 p.m. We gave the ICVA president, and we gave his administrators also, and his advisors, his cabinet, those who are advising him to do the right thing and issue a statement of apology for these actions, which have been stemming unbelievably under our well, we will at least say that it's been going on long enough. And instead of, calling and trying to set one up, As a president, you should definitely have, to say the least, we are already grieved. We are disappointed, after, so many years. It has not been 30 years, and he needs to stop saying it's 30 years, when one starts lying. There's a reason why he's saying it's 30 years instead of the years that it actually is. So, we'll see if we will get to that. But unfortunately, again, we're grieved, we're saddened. But the Quran makes it very clear that لا تجد قوما يؤمنون بالله واليوم الآخر يوادون من حاد الله ورسوله إلى آخره in Surah Al-Mujadala. You will not find those who believe in Allah in the day of judgment, to ransom their deen, ransom their akhirah, even if it's for, these relatives, and people really take their relatives into, as gods, somebody told me, as I was dropping, them off and they're missing it, and I'm telling them, like, be patient, you're Muslim, and you will gain from Allah Ta'ala's reward, as He says in the Quran. This individual says to me, I think Allah will understand. I'm talking about my son, and he hasn't eaten. I said, La hawla wa la quwwata illa billah. You see, la hawla wa la quwwata illa billah. It's either you don't know your son or you don't know Allah. One or the other. Okay, I'll let you have the fact that you know your son. You know, ever since he was born. Now, tell me you really know Allah. To say that Allah needs to understand anything, Allah already knows it. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad. But the point of sallallahu alayhi wasallam, but the point of the matter is that, the president, he has, still time, and we're making, a plea to him, to really, concede accordingly. The options are very, very, very simple at this time. A statement of remorse for these actions, denouncing the moral, which is responsible, which he very well knows, because we have discussed it plenty of times. He has conceded plenty of times to do it publicly. B, and to turn over the pilot, as he had to call it later on, because those who were there teaching, we asked about their qualifications in the meeting. I don't think he would like to. We talked about both of those hafiz, who people call hafiz. We talked, because we worked with both of them in the past. We know them very well. We know them better than he, and he's not, unfortunately, able to tell them to, recite and critique the scientific, or we should say, appropriate elements in defining that in which qualifies a Quranic practitioner, because that's what you need in the community. How is it that, you even have the parents saying, I don't want my kid to learn as a parrot? Okay, very good. The one who is teaching your son Quran, in the Hafiz who is teaching your son Quran, do you really see honestly and faithfully and how much your son is learning, and how advanced your son is, and how well your son's character has improved, or how well it has not improved? Do you really see that in the one who is teaching your son? If so, please explain to me how. You are African American, with all respect. We act as if we can get away from being urban American. There is no way on earth that I, as one who is not qualified or who is unqualified to determine, I don't speak the language, in all fairness. I don't read even as well. How can I determine someone who is, because I know what good sound is like? I don't, it's not about how a person sounds. It's really about how they abide by the art of recitation. The Quran was revealed in speech. It was not revealed in writing. And therefore, just one, and it's one one vowel, and people say it's not even a vowel, but I like to call it the silent vowel. When it's recited on certain letters, well, when it's heard properly, it's supposed to give a peace, a calmness sound. But you have people again from all over the world who are reciting the Quran, and it does not take much to miss a little detail. So again, when you look at the last request at this time is that he turn over that pilot, the Quranic program that he's supposedly calling now. He's changed it to a pilot, or maybe it's not a pilot to some people. I mean, you don't know when a person is going to tell you the truth anymore. You don't know when they're going to tell you the truth anymore. You just say, okay, I cannot. I mean, you've been deceiving me. You've been telling me that you love me. And it's strange, like that's the last thing that this man said to the effect of anything that is positive openly was the very first text, my brother to whom I love. So I guess that's good for you. You're the one who gets recognition for, I guess, whatever recognition you hope to get out of it. Because I asked you, and I asked him that, Mr. President, like exactly, can you explain for what reasons do you love me? For what reason? And until now, I cannot get an answer. Until now. So again, I would simply like to, have that noted, and on top of the fact that the other thing, which is the turning over of the Quranic services is important. Here you are, African American. You know very bloody well that is a strenuous, every African American, I will say literally every African American that I know, that I have come in contact with ever in my life, except that there is an issue of education in our communities. I don't see any of our urban communities saying that we do not need more effort or services of education. How is it that after 2 months you establish what you claim to be a program, or a preliminary program, if you may, giving the man, or giving the flyer, giving the information the benefit of the doubt, and then you turn around and you call on somebody that you've been bad-mouthing for years? Why would you do that? Why on earth would you then try to cover it up with these taxes? These taxes are really what gets him, and then, into a very serious situation. There is no mention of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala anywhere in any of his texts. Not a single one of them. You use the facility and you use this presidential thing, which we've known all along for 20-something years. We've known because, again, when the Sheikh from the Ijaz and his fellow students were back in 2000, and there was this similar problem, Commander Bulling would attest to that. But seriously, I'm being, this is exactly what they said, and this is exactly what happened. They said, people, say that when they get into certain positions, they're going to do this and that, they're going to change things. But we don't want that, because when they get into, if any of us really got into the same position, we will do the same thing as they are doing. And that's exactly what happened. This man did not have $1 million waking up. What are you talking about? you know, and get rich and go into politics. This is the American model. You want to make it in America? That's the way it works, you know. But mashallah, for tabarakallah, you know, we made that point clear, and we also made the point that, you know, we are opening the channel of communication with the residential imam. The retired imam's office has, you know, done a diligent job. Really, all administrative personnel, as well as those involved in logistical operations and communication, have also done a very fine job. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen, by the mercy of Allah Jalla Jalaluhu, you know. But it's looming, you know. It's very interesting, you know. We've opened it to that, and to turn it over to the authority, to the coalition forces. We're not saying for him to just, you know, simply resign. We're not trying to say that, you know, we want to bring out someone's dirty laundry.